Welcome to Money Talk with Aaron Ricketts, presented by Ricketts & Associates, 3245 North Adrian Highway, Suite F. The opinions voiced on Money Talk are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, John.
All right, we still got stuff going on. We still got the Social Security seminar. We got some other things to get to, so let's get rocking.
All right. How about first I tell you about our association with Summit Financial Group. We share space with them in our office, and Jackie and Ruth are Medicare agents, health insurance agents in that office. And of course, what's going on right now, a lot of people have probably seen a lot of the mailings they get, the advertisements on TV and radio for Medicare and individual health open enrollment period. So right now, Medicare is open through December 7th, so you can change your plans if you choose. And then the individual health enrollment, or called the marketplace, or what's often labeled Obamacare, that open enrollment ends December 15th. So you just got a week or two left to get those things resolved. I suggest, even if you've been on Medicare for a few years, let's say you started at 65 and you just got the plan, was the first advertisement you saw, or your neighbor or friend had it and you just took that plan, maybe you should have that conversation with an agent, Jackie or Ruth, and they can just go over those things and explain to you what things are about. There's the two types of Medicare. We have the traditional Medicare or original Medicare. And then second is the Medicare Advantage plans. And so there's often a connection to, who you are and your individual situation of what is the best plan for you. It's not a one size or one plan fits all. So I suggest you call Mike or Ruth or Jackie at 266-7000, and you can set up a time or meeting with them. So that's about Medicare. And now to us in our exciting Social Security planning workshop that we have scheduled. Again, it's going to be at the Lenawee Votech from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, December 3rd. You can call 265-3540 for a reservation. We actually require that because we can only have about 25 to 30 in the room. And right now we're about half full, and we're often max them out. So we have to turn people away or tell them they're going to have to wait till the next seminar. So again, it's going to be held at Lenawee Votech, 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, December 3rd. Who should attend? Anyone age 58 to 66. If you're single, divorced, remarried, retiring soon, or you're a widow, that fits about everybody. Those of us that have any questions, that have ever had any questions, or we think, because somebody told us something that this is the path we're going to take, maybe you should get a second opinion by listening to what we have to say. Should I take my full Social Security benefits? Might be a question. Should I take my spouse's Social Security benefit? Should I defer till 70? What are the rules about file and suspend, file and restrict? The whole idea is if I claim now, or should I claim more later? So the wrong decision when claiming Social Security benefits can cost you and your spouse thousands of dollars in lost benefits. So again, 265-3540 to make a reservation. So it's a very, very informative workshop, and we're not the hard sell kind of guys. We tell you what we do, which is give financial advice and charge a fee for that advice. But what we're there to do is give that general information, and of course, we always want to explain how we get paid and what we do, and it's a interesting, fun evening, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, I'll tell you, it's always a learning experience not only for the audience, but for you guys as well, because
It
you
is.
tell me you always learn something new every time you put one of those things on.
We do. We do. I look at those questions that I just read about, taking my spouse's Social Security benefit, file and suspend, whether you're divorced or remarried or you're a widow. I got a story about each and every one of those. Not just one story, multiple stories. And while we're on that subject, let me tell you one story, John. One story is we had a 72-year-old, I think she was. She came to our seminar. So I just read, 58 to 66, but she came with a friend of hers who hadn't started drawing her Social Security benefits. And she had heard or saw our advertisement that talked about, divorced and widow. So she had been married. Her husband had passed some years before, and her husband was a farmer. And oftentimes there's not a lot of money that's paid into Social Security for that time that they're farming, and she was a stay-at-home mom. So, she didn't have any record or income for her to claim on her record as for Social Security. So she claimed on her deceased husband. And unfortunately, his check was only about $850 a month. So we didn't know of this, right? We didn't know her or anything about it. But one of our slides in our program talked about if you are a divorced widow, right? If your spouse that you were married to had passed away, and you're a divorced widow, and it kind of piqued her, and she says, she started thinking, well, I got married when she was very young. She was under 18, and she got married. And she was married. They were together just a short time, but they never filed for divorce. So they were together for or married for over 20 years. And there's another story that goes along with that. But she came up to us in the break and started explaining this to us and asking us questions about it. And she had not been in contact with that person. She didn't have a child with them, didn't know where they were, didn't know anything about them. And she just had remembered that she got divorce papers in the mail from out of state. And it was one of those where he didn't know where she was. And back in those days, we didn't have a Google search program to find people. So they gave her a divorce, or gave him the divorce, right? Because he had requested it. And we assume he got remarried. So we asked her, well, we knew she didn't know anything about him, right? His work history, his work record, or anything. We suggested that she do some searching, right? And her friend was with her that day. About a week later, she had called us back and said she found out that he had passed away, and found out that he was drawing like $1,800 a month in Social Security. Well, the rule is if you were married for at least 10 years, you can draw on a deceased divorced spouse. And so talk about a happy person. Increased her, monthly income by $1,000 a month. And she's relatively young, right, at 72, so she's going to draw that for a long time. But the Social Security Administration doesn't look those people up and send you the information. So I'm not saying that you need to stay in touch with your former spouse, and maybe it's a bad situation, but you get what I'm saying, that just by her coming and showing up and being a part of that, talk about thankful. Talk about a nice thank you letter she sent to us.
Yeah, right.
It's the nicest one we've ever received. And I could see the tears, flowing when she was writing it. She was so thankful that happened. And like I said, story after story after story. Now, 80%.
But you'd just be amazed at this, not only the stories, but how one shoe doesn't fit everybody.
That's absolutely right. And we hear that all the time, that, well, my neighbor did this and that's the best thing. Well, my brother did this and that was the best thing, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, it's not going to change my life, right? It's not my Social Security check that is whatever amount is. It's not affecting my life whatsoever. And I say this to my clients too. Now, I might give you my opinion, my advice, and steer you in a direction, but I certainly will accept and understand what your decision is, or your final decision. And I just had a conversation with a younger couple that is turning 60 in the next year or two, And after I did my little Social Security, presentation, just a little short blurb about what the options are, he says, I'm taking my Social Security at 62. My dad died at 45. My mom died at 64, whatever those ages were. And, I am taking my Social Security. I'm not sure how long I'm going to live, and I'm healthy today, but obviously I got some genes that came from those two, and I'm taking my Social Security. I said, that's exactly what I tell people when we start this whole conversation. What is your health situation? What are your parents' health situation? Even your siblings. If you have longevity in your family, I suggest you follow that path of possibly delaying your Social Security. If you don't have longevity in your family, I think you should think twice about delaying for a long period of time, right? Because you can delay to 70, and that's a long period of time to not get a check, right? So what I want to briefly talk about with the time left is what we call the Social Security do-over. How you like that?
Okay.
The Social Security do-over. So in 2010, Social Security Administration abolished the perfectly legal thing back then of, and ethically it was a little questionable. It was a strategy for applying for benefits and then suspending those benefits and then drawing or restricting those benefits, drawing on your spouse, and then turning yours on at age 70, right? So you get some money during that time. Another one was you could draw your benefits, and then before you turn age 70, you could pay them all back, right? Pay them all back, and then you get the bigger check. So what people were doing was, people that didn't need the money, they were just banking it or they were investing it, and then they would just pay back whatever they received through that time. They keep they invested it, so it's very possible that whatever they had 30, 40, 50% or 100% more just by that investment, pay it all back, keep those in the gain, right? And then start all over at 70 and get that bigger check. So they got rid of that, and what they did is they put in that 12-month rule. So once you start taking Social Security, you have to decide if you want to delay or stop taking it within 12 months, and you still have to pay it back. So that part of the do-over is not abolished. So there's a little bit. So I want to tell you about working this into the workshop. A seminar attendee who has already applied for benefits learns that he is grandfathered under the Budget Act while restricting his application for a spousal benefit, right? Because if you were born before 1/1 of 54, you can still file for that restricted benefit, meaning I file for the benefit, my spouse is drawing, and I can draw on my spouse. We have a couple clients that are delaying to 70, and their spouse turns full retirement age, they're going to draw their benefit, at full retirement age, and they're going to draw 50% of their spouses for about a 8-month period or a 1.5 year period because they were born before 1/1/54. Now, what I just said confuses you, that's why you need to come to the seminar to see if it fits you, if you're in that age range, because it might be an option. Social Security doesn't send you a letter and say, this is an option for you. They wait for you to contact them. Now, when you get to Medicare age, they'll send you some information. Or if you're drawing Social Security and you turn 65 Medicare age, they turn your Medicare on for you. But that's it. Social Security, you are on your own to file. So I want to make sure that Social Security do-over is an option. If you have just started to draw and you're within 12 months, let's say you did the 62 thing, and I've seen it where some people are still working and they don't know the difference and they go in and draw. Now, most of the time when they're having that conversation with the, if you're face-to-face with the Social Security person, they say, do you understand you're going to give back so much for every dollar you make? So looking at your wage, you're not going to get a Social Security check. So why would you draw your Social Security check? Continue to delay it. But some people go online and do it, right? And they go online themselves. It's a little over $17,000 what you can make in a year under full retirement age and keep all your Social Security. Again, those are the discussions that we're going to have at this workshop. So I just want to put that out there. Social Security do-over is one reason why you'd want to come to this workshop, get that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they can call what number?
Call me, 265-3540, and that same number for a reservation.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Valuable information.
Thanks, John.
That's Money Talk with Aaron Ricketts, presented by Ricketts Associates, 3245 North Adrian Highway, Suite L. The opinions voiced on Money Talk are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Join us once again next week for Money Talk here on 103.9 WLEN.